your business strengths and your blind spots that are sabotaging your growth efforts. Once you have clarity about those areas, you'll be given a health score and a customized plan to improve that score. By the end of this assessment, you'll know exactly what to focus on to see tremendous growth in your business next year. Okay, so it looks like everybody's here now, so I'm going to turn off my webcam and introduce our instructor. Just have to figure out where to do that. Emily, I don't think I asked you exactly where this was. Pardon?
Lower left corner of your Zoom screen.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. All right. Okay, again, I want to welcome everyone to this special webinar with Michael Hyatt, the Business Owner's Guide to Scaling Fast, 7 proven strategies to accelerate your business growth. Now, we understand that you're a busy person and your time is extremely valuable. So to start things off and in order to fully respect your time, let's double check and make sure you're 100% in the right place here today. So tell me, does this sound like you? You're a successful business owner, executive, or other high-achieving professional, and you're looking to gain more margin, more income, and more impact. But the endless demands, constant interruptions, and needless drama from your business or workplace are causing overwhelm and uncertainty that ultimately is holding you back from accomplishing your biggest goals. Plus, it's stressing you personally and taking time away from the most important things in your life, like your family, your relationship, and yourself. Your relationships and yourself. And overall, there's a lot of friction in your business and life, holding you back from growing at the rate that you want to. Now, if any of this sounds familiar, then pay very close attention. Friction leads to fires. And if you're not careful, often you end up working weekends or 12 or 15-hour days just to put those fires out instead of scaling your company and spending quality time with the people that matter most. This is what we at Michael Hyatt and Company call the winner's paradox, and it's something we're going to show you how to avoid here in just a moment. See, you're a high achiever. Whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you enjoy playing at the edge of your capabilities. You like to push yourself to the limits. Sometimes it's in terms of your personal strengths or leading your team, and maybe it's satisfying your customers or running your operations. Whatever it is, you like to move fast. However, that speed creates friction, and without the right tools, techniques, and strategies, that friction will slow you down. The pressure will rise, and over time, fires will start popping up left and right, and eventually you end up bogged down and stressed out by never-ending tasks, mile-deep inboxes, and calendars jammed with meetings, calls, and reminders. And then those fires not only take over your work life and business, but they spread and take over your personal life too. You start spending less time with your family and less time doing the things you love to do because you're so overwhelmed, frustrated, and busy trying to put out all the fires and take care of all the problems in your business. And secretly, it can make you start to doubt yourself and your abilities a little bit. It can make you wonder if maybe you took on too much or maybe you're playing above your skill level, which is why this webinar is so important. See, most business owners, even if they're winning, often feel like they're only one step away from failure. Whether it's financially, they feel like they can never get ahead, or maybe they take on too much and feel like a tiny delay could ruin an important project. And in their worst moments, they feel like imposters. They feel guilty for working nights and weekends. They feel like they're cheating their spouse and kids a valuable connection, but they're not really sure what else to do. They're not sure how to clear their task list and make time for the other important things in their lives, like relationships, hobbies, or their health, while still growing their business, which is what we're going to be covering here today. Now, if any of this sounds like you, you need to know you are not alone. In fact, real quick, if any of this sounds familiar to you, go ahead and type yes in the chat box. If you feel like you're constantly trying to keep up with the demands of your work, type yes. And even if you feel like you should be spending less time working and more time with your family or just doing things you love, type yes. And listen, so many high achievers feel like they can't talk about these types of struggles. because most of your friends and peers aren't going through the same things. Their problems and issues are totally different than yours. And sometimes what's even worse are the times you do win. You can't talk about your success with your friends because they don't really understand, and it might even alienate them. However, today, oh my gosh, look at all these yeses. It's like yes, 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 yes. Angela, Daphne, Greg, Holly, Catherine, Joshua, Scott. All of you guys are resonating with this, and it's just good to know you're not alone, right? That's why I'm really excited for you guys today, because these 7 proven growth strategies you're about to discover are not only going to help you scale your business faster than you ever thought possible, they're going to help you do it without compromising your personal life, because you already have a lot on your plate. Now it's time to clear it. Whether that means freeing up an extra 2 hours each day to spend with your family, setting up the systems to grow your business without your constant involvement, or even simply helping empower your team to drive faster results. Whatever it is, I promise, even if you implement one of these strategies that you're about to discover in a brief moment, it will change your business and your life for the better. However, before we jump into the details, in case you don't know much about him, it's important I quickly introduce you to our instructor, my father, Michael Hyatt, so you can understand why he is the person to listen to if you want to grow your business faster without compromising your personal life. So, as an entrepreneur, he's the former CEO of a $250 million corporation. When the company was sold back in 2011, he left to venture out on his own as a full-time author, speaker, and business coach. Today, he's the founder and CEO of a fast-growing leadership development firm named in the 2017 and 2018 Inc. 5000 list, which rank America's fastest growing private companies. These ranks recognize the 330% growth that Michael Hyatt and Company has experienced over just a 3-year period. He's the author of several powerful books, including his New York Times bestseller Platform, Get Noticed in a Noisy World, along with his Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestsellers, Your Best Year Ever and Living Forward. His online magazine at michaelhyatt.com gets over 350,000 page views each month, and his network of sites combined receive over 1 million page views each month. In addition, our podcast Lead to Win is consistently in the iTunes Top 50 for business. He's also been married to my mom, Gail, for 40 years. Together, they have 5 grown daughters, me and my 4 younger sisters. He also has 3 sons-in-law and 8 grandchildren, and 1 very cute Labradoodle, I might say. Now, obviously, my dad did not start out successful. In fact, when he started his journey, he was struggling to balance it all too: business, family, health, and life. However, along the way, he learned how to master the bottomless inbox, endless interruptions, and crammed schedules that business owners and executives confront every day. And he learned how to do it without sacrificing his most important relationships or his health. And that's what he wants to share with you here today. So it's with great pleasure and excitement that I'd like to introduce you to our presenter for the next hour, my dad, Mr. Michael Hyatt.
Meg, it is so
Hey,
fun
Dad.
to do a webinar with you. We don't often do this, but
We
it's
don't.
such a privilege.
I love doing anything with you, and it's fun to do something that's a little out of our normal wheelhouse. So it's great
Yep.
to be here with you.
This is kind of taking the podcast to the next level.
That's right, totally. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited about this webinar. I couldn't hardly sleep last night because I was thinking about it.
Really? So why are you so excited?
Yeah, I think because clarity is such an important business asset, and so few business owners that we meet, you and I both meet,
Right.
or senior executives have clarity, because all the endless opportunities, the distractions in the workplace, the fires that you have to put out, create a kind of fog, which costs you that clarity. And clarity, nothing like clarity, accelerates the results in your business. So in this webinar, we're going to give people some clarity about where they should put their focus and their attention and their resources. So that's why I'm excited.
Can't wait. Are you ready to get started?
I'm ready. In fact,
Okay.
what I'm going to do is close my webcam now too, so I can focus. Do you remember how to do it?
I do.
All right, great. Okay, so welcome again to today's webinar. Meg, thanks for that awesome introduction. The Business Owner's Guide to Scaling Fast, 7 Proven Strategies to Accelerate Your Business Growth. Now, we've got a lot of amazing content that we're going to cover here today, so let's just jump right into the topics that we're going to be going over. So I want to talk about first what you're going to discover, okay? So first, 2 types of focus that your team needs to keep them from getting bogged down in low-level activities. And this is one of your responsibilities as a leader, is to give them this kind of focus. Then a common communication miss that can stifle your team's motivation and performance. When and how to hire ace employees who can run with your vision. That's always a challenge, right? How to spot problem areas and opportunities with your financials. Boy, nothing gets you into trouble faster than a financial glitch or a financial problem. Plus, you'll learn the most underutilized business strategy. One study, by the way, showed it increasing net income by a whopping 756%. Net income. Then 3 challenges you must overcome to scale your business in a sustainable way, and a proven solution to help you beat them. And at the end, you'll be able to test a way to grow your company by 67% in the next year while working 10 hours less per week than you're currently working. And this is based on our work with over 100 clients over a 1-year period. Now, if all this stuff is important to understand if you want to grow your business, and it is, then what I want to share with you is how to do this without compromising your personal life. Because after working with thousands of highly successful business owners and executives, I discovered that they all have one quality in common. Can you guess what it is? I can tell you this: it's not drive, it's not charisma, it's not even sort of innate leadership capabilities, and it's not intelligence. It's not industry awareness, it's not what college you graduated from, it's not salesmanship, it's not even determination or guts. So what is it? It's overwhelm, and too often, exhaustion. And let me tell you, this is no joke. In fact, you've probably seen stories like this in the news. For example, Arianna Huffington, co-founder of Huffington Post, literally passed out from exhaustion after working consecutive 80-hour weeks. She broke her cheekbone on her desk from that fall as she was on her way to the floor. Serious stuff. And then there's Marissa Mayer, Yahoo's CEO. She bragged about sleeping only 4 hours a night, but instead of sleeping during the night, she ended up sleeping through a high-profile dinner with major marketing prospects and faced an avalanche of public ridicule as a result. Now, if you're an executive or a business owner struggling with work-life balance, and give me a yes in the Q&A session the Q&A section of the webinar if that's you, if you're struggling with work-life balance, or feel you can relate to those 2 professionals, then listen up, because I've wrestled with this too. So when I first got out of college and took my first job, I remember saying to Gail, look, it was super busy when we were married and in college, and I was trying to work and trying to do everything else at the same time. But now that I'm into my first job, things are going to slow down. Well, of course, that didn't happen because I was trying to get established in my career. Well, then I went from that to us having a baby. Things got even crazier. Then I got a promotion, so my responsibilities increased. And then I got involved in church, and it was like unrelenting. And before I knew it, I was completely out of balance. I was working 12 hours a day, often on Saturday mornings, and neglecting my family. I felt like when I was at work, I was thinking about all the things I was neglecting at home. And when I was home, I was always worried that there was something I could be doing with respect to my work so that I didn't fall behind. So if I ask your employees or your families, would they say that you're struggling with this balance too? Well, I'll bet so. And it's understandable because leading a business is tough. And this is true for business owners and executives alike. Because when your business grows, so do your challenges, right? And there are always a ton of important things that are vying for your attention, whether it's a push for increased revenue and profitability, or operational issues that need fixing, or maybe you need to focus on equipping your team and deciding when to staff up, or focus on the different products that need to be improved. And all of this needs to happen while you're keeping up your own knowledge base. Not to mention, there's your personal life, your health, your family, your relationships, your hobbies, even your home life. All of that is critically important. And truthfully, you're struggling to balance it all because there's an overwhelming amount of different things you could be doing to grow your business. However, right now in this presentation, you're about to discover, listen up, what you should be doing, okay? So not everything is equally important because I'm going to reveal 7 of my most effective, high leverage strategies that are proven to accelerate your business growth without compromise it in your personal life. And I personally use these strategies in my company. I've used them as a CEO of a previous, as Megan said, $250 million a year company. And there's something every high-profile client I've ever worked with now uses. And this is an important topic because, yes, your business and your career are the foundation for you and your family's life and well-being. However, you don't have to sacrifice one for the growth of another. Write that down. You don't have to sacrifice one for the growth of another, despite what you may be hearing on podcasts or on blog posts about the importance of hustle. You don't have to sacrifice one for the growth of another. And today, you're going to learn the proven strategies to help you accomplish that feat, what I've come to call the double win, where you can both win at work and succeed at life. And we're going to zero in on only the most effective strategies here today to help you accelerate your business growth so that you're not wasting time or guessing what needs to be done to grow your company. The biggest thing you need, and I said this in my banter with Megan at the top of the webinar, the biggest thing you need is clarity. You can't afford to get overwhelmed by opportunities, distracted by operational minutia, or consumed in putting out fires. Instead, you need clarity about where to focus both your attention and your resources. And in this webinar, I'm going to share with you the 7 strategies you can't afford to ignore and the ones that will create the highest leverage that you need to drive the results that you want in your business. Okay, enough with the introduction. Let's jump straight into the content. So, as a business owner or a high-level executive or a leader, your number one goal should be execution, right? Your ability to actually accomplish your company's goals. However, the reality is that most business owners and high-level executives struggle with execution. That may be you, or at least they're not as good at it as they think they should be because they're trying to do too much. Marketing, product development, leadership, plus your personal life. See, most people think a good leader has to wear a dozen different hats, be hands-on in every aspect of your business, and work shoulder to shoulder with your team. But the truth is, you can't do it all. And the sooner you face that, the better off you're going to be. Nor should you want to do it all because divided focus leads to diminished results. Let me say it again. Divided focus leads to diminished results. The truth is that most successful people actually focus on simply doing a few things exceptionally well. And as a leader, it's your job to take that concept and actualize it, not only within yourself, but within each member of your team. Because the fact is, you can't do everything yourself. It's impossible. And that's why your team is there in the first place. Your team is there to serve you as much as you're there to serve them.
Hello.
So now the question becomes,
Hey, babe.
how do we take the concept, doing a few things exceptionally well, and put it into action with you and your team? Simple. It all comes down to getting good at and providing your team with one thing, focus. And that's what strategy number 1 is all about. How to maximize your focus. Now, your team specifically is relying on you to provide them with 2 types of focus. First, there's directional focus. Directional focus is what you do, and more importantly, what you don't do as a business. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's take a look at Apple way back in 1997. At the time, Apple had become inflated with multiple different product lines. They were into all kinds of technology. They weren't focused. And guess what? It was killing their profitability. So when Steve Jobs came back as CEO after his predecessor nearly run the company into the ground, he instantly provided the directional focus the company needed.
Well,
as a company, Jobs said they were only going to focus on 4 things, and he explained it with a simple matrix. He said, first of all, desktops for professionals, then desktops for consumers, laptops for professionals, and laptops for consumers. And guess what? They cut, they pruned everything else. And this type of magnified and directional focus paved the way for Apple's future dominance. Ken Segal called this move, by the way, one of Steve Jobs' biographers. He said it was one of the most dramatic minimizations of a product line in technology history. Steve Jobs even went on to speak a little bit about this type of directional focus. He said, people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. So directional focus, and that's exactly what it is and why it's so important. Because without directional focus, everyone on your team is pulling in different directions, and there's no movement towards your key goals. It just creates sideways energy. Now, directional focus is only one half of the equation. The other half is daily focus. Now, daily focus is all about optimizing your everyday operations and activities. These are things like your meetings, email and Slack protocol, workflows, systems, processes. And as a leader, you're the one setting the productivity tone for your team. So, in order to be as efficient and productive as possible, you need to be focused on optimizing each of these activities because they're the activities that drive key outcomes. And when they're not optimized, they bog your team down. So, it's not only important to optimize these things in order for you to be more efficient in execution, but for your team to be as well. Because you can have clear direction, but without focused execution, you'll never achieve it. So instead of trying to be a leader who does it all yourself, focus on providing directional and daily focus to your team. Now, if it's been a challenge for you to provide directional and daily focus for your team, you're not alone. It's important that you correct that, but there's something else that's even more important. There's one thing you cannot fail to communicate with your team. Otherwise, your team will have nothing to work toward, and your business is guaranteed to fail. But so many leaders don't give attention to this, and that's what strategy 2 is all about. Strategy number 2, set strategic vision. Let's go back to Steve Jobs. Again, when he went back to Apple in 1997, not only did he provide the company directional focus by limiting their product line to laptops and desktops, he provided something much greater by answering a profound yet simple question. What kind of laptops and desktops? See, Steve Jobs had a vision for a better product, a more elegant, different kind of product than what was being pushed in the marketplace at that time. And that vision was the key distinctive that, I believe, still separates Apple from its competitors over 30 years later. Now, how do you set your strategic vision? Well, most people try and make setting a strategic vision seem like some big mystery, it's some big mystical thing. But it's actually really simple once you understand what strategic vision is all about. Steve Jobs said it best with this quote of his. Some people say, give the customers what they want. But that's not my approach, and it wasn't Jobs' approach either. Instead, our job is to figure out what our customers want even before they know they want it. So I think Henry Ford once said, if I'd asked customers what they wanted, they would have told me a faster horse. Jobs went on to say, people don't know what they want until you show it to them. That's why I never rely on market research. Our task is to read things that are not yet on the page. Well, that's been true for my company too. If I had asked our customers if they wanted a paper planner in 2017 when we introduced it, they would have overwhelmingly said no. But since its introduction, the Full Focus Planner has become a runaway hit. Now we have tens of thousands of customers all over the world using the Full Focus Planner to get more done and to stay focused. So setting your strategic vision doesn't have to be complicated, even though it may seem like it can be. It starts, and listen to me, this is the important part. It starts with stepping into the future and taking a good look around. What do you see? Where's the market going? What products has your company created in that future state? What are the actual business results? Make it as vivid and as concrete as you can. Then you need to communicate that vision in a compelling way because you'll need to create buy-in for that vision. That vision becomes the target, if you will, for your company, what everybody's aiming at. Now, this isn't something that happens overnight. I'll be the first to admit that. But setting a strategic vision is very important to do, and it begins with you. I was once at a company where the CEO of that company tried to delegate this. Well, it never happened. A vision created by committee is not the place to start. You've got to start, and then, of course, get your team to add to it and refine to it and make it better. But setting a strategic vision is very important to do because with no target, your team is going to miss it every time. So to grow your business fast, you not only communicate focus, but you must also communicate vision as you move forward into the future as a company. So take the time to visualize and set a strategic vision and write it down. All right, now this information is great, but it's extremely helpful. But at this point, some of you may be wondering, okay, what if I don't have the proper team to execute on my vision? Maybe you don't have any people. Maybe you got the wrong people.
And I've noticed that this is a huge problem for a lot of business owners and leaders. But often as leaders, we wait to hire. And it always makes sense, right? I mean, you want to make sure you can sustain the cost of a team and that you're not just responding to a temporary need. And at first, it may seem like the wise thing to do. However, the reality is that waiting to hire can be a huge mistake because people are always going to be your most important asset. And that means hiring is a key investment. And I use that word on purpose. It's an investment in your future. And this is true in any business for multiple reasons. First of all, your employees define your customers' experience of the brand. They also hold your operational know-how, and they drive your results. So this makes hiring the right people critical because as you build your team, you'll quickly discover there are very few mistakes that are as costly as a bad hire. Am I right? Because when you hire the wrong person, you end up wasting all the time and money you spent searching for the right person, interviewing, onboarding, training, and in the end, you end up having to choose between firing that wrong person or reinvesting that time and money all over again to find someone that can replace them. Or worse, you keep them. And this is scary. And this happens way more than it should because we all know what it's like to work with a C player. It's like trying to drive with the emergency brake on. They drag the team down. They drain energy and morale. And they de-accelerate the progress of your company. And they make the A players, and this is the key thing, you do have, if you have A players, makes them want to quit. Because A players are always high achievers who are constantly looking for the upper hand. And often, they are sensitive to the environment they work in, which is what makes strategy 3, hire A players, so important. Strategy number 3, hire A players. See, top teams are uncompromising about finding top talent. If you want to grow, if you want to accelerate your results, you cannot compromise on this. And after working with thousands of high-level teams, business owners, and executives, I discovered that hiring A players is one of the best things you can do for your business. And I've got a company full of them right now, which is why we're growing on average 58% a year. In fact, because we're serious about A players, our company process, hiring process, can take literally months. We encourage group and even spouse interviews. We have candidates complete paid test assignments, all to make sure, what? That we're going to be hiring the right person. That's how seriously we take our hiring process. And that's how your company needs to view hiring if you want to grow your business to the next level. Because when you invest in hiring up front and you do it the right way, it comes back tenfold in the long run. And I think I'm being conservative there. As an A-level employee will boost your results and your revenue. So to reiterate, if you want to grow your business fast, you've got to hire A players as soon as you're able. You can't compromise on it. And you shouldn't keep a C player just because of the time and money you may save up front. Because as a business, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So you got to keep your hiring standards high. Now, at this point, a ton of people think, great, so I can hire A players, set the focus and the vision, and my business will start to grow on autopilot, right? Well, that's not exactly true because once you hire A players, and it's important, there's still one more thing you need to do to keep those A players performing at their best. It's not about paying them more. And it's not about giving them better equipment, the latest technology. In fact, what we're about to go over is the most underutilized business growth strategy I've seen because it's more of a high-level strategy that ends up working behind the scenes in your business. So I want you to imagine your business is like a big fish tank. And that fish tank is full of all types of different species of fish that are all swimming around and doing their thing. But after a while, the fish start moving less. They're slowing down, and you can visibly see it. They show signs of poor health. Now, you could take the time to test each individual fish, try to treat each one for specific symptoms, and that'd be a noble cause. But if you're smart, you test the water quality. It's a whole lot simpler and probably more important. See, your company culture is the water your team swims in every day. It's largely invisible, but it's having a significant impact on the results. With the right culture, you'll be greatly influencing and optimizing your health and results. They'll have the right resources, the environment, and they'll be able to perform at their best. However, with the wrong culture, you'll be failing to influence them at all, or worse, slowly poisoning them. because the environment, the synergy, and the vibe will be misaligned. So, how do we make sure we have the right team culture? That's where strategy number 4, build team culture, comes into play. Team culture is the unseen force that drives operating results. Write that down because you'll rarely hear it or read about it. Team culture is the unseen force that drives operating results. That's why I said it's so important, yet so underutilized. It's something that needs to be built and intentionally maintained. So, in order to understand how to build your team culture, let's break it down and first discuss what factors drive culture. Behind the culture of your company and your team is a set of norms and a set of values. It's what you do and how you interact as a team, the rituals you have, the language you use, even the acronyms, the stories you tell. And when you get this right, the results are simply amazing. In fact, a Harvard business study of more than 200 companies found that a healthy culture increased net income 756% over an 11-year period. That's amazing. Now, here's the thing. There's no quick fix to bad culture. A good culture is something that takes time to develop. And it all starts with the behaviors that you as the leader celebrate and the behaviors you refuse to tolerate. Whether it's publicly celebrating big wins or the efforts being displayed among your team, or even appreciating the small things taking place in all the simple day-to-day interactions. Now, you'll notice I'm not talking much about outcomes. I'm talking about behaviors. Why is that? Because behaviors drive the outcomes. And as much as we want to think about that we have control over the outcomes, truth is we don't, which is why you want to focus on nurturing the proper behaviors of your team. And in doing this, you're opening up a powerful opportunity for growth, because the right culture, as your business grows, provides a type of almost like subliminal training. Because once you have the strategic vision developed, you can build your culture in a way that supports and moves you toward that vision by rewarding the behaviors that you're looking for. You're able to influence individual outlooks among your team, and you can impart key qualities without having to personally mentor each employee, simply by having the right culture. So it goes without saying, but building team culture is critical to start doing now if you ever want to grow fast. It's an investment. For example, when I was at Thomas Nelson Publishers, the $250 million company that I was referring to earlier, I personally led a quarterly training program called the Thomas Nelson Way for all of our new employees, because I knew it was critical to set forth our vision, our mission, our values, and the behaviors that supported all of that from the get-go. I wanted to have people come in and understand this. And this is the priority it needs to be for you, whether that manifests itself in a onboarding program or simply you re-articulating and re-envisioning this to your culture, to your employees, to your teammates, so that they can help you build that kind of culture. And by the way, players need a winning team culture if they're going to succeed and grow their business. And it's up to you. Make no mistake about it. It's up to you to design that culture. You're not just like a bobber drifting with the current. You're the one who can change the behavior based on your own behavior. In fact, I love this quote from Larry Bossidy. I'm not going to show it on the screen because I just thought of it. But he ran 3M for a number of years, and he said that changing culture is as simple as changing the behavior of the leadership. I believe that's true. So take time to think about how you can start building a better culture inside your business, because winning leaders design a healthy culture. They don't just let it happen. They proactively shape it. Okay, let's move on, because at this point, some of you are probably thinking, great, but all these seem like internal changes. How can I drive more profit? That's what I'm really after. And that brings us to the next strategy. Now that you've addressed the needs of your team, it's time to shift the lens outward towards your customers. And as a business owner, you want more customers, more clients, right? I know I do. More customers mean more profit, more growth, and more impact. Pretty straightforward. But without understanding this next concept, getting more customers can actually kill or certainly slow down the growth rate of your business. See, most businesses, when they start out, focus on doing whatever it takes to make a profit, right? And sometimes that means taking on whatever customers come to you. Now, at first, that approach makes total sense. I've done it myself. You need to make money in order to stay in business. However, when you take on the wrong customers, and many of you are starting to feel this inner realization as I'm talking, when you take on the wrong customers, first, you can actually end up losing revenue. Whether it's because of refunds and chargebacks or wasted man hours supporting high maintenance customers, or the fact that you're missing out on the huge revenue boost high quality customers give you, often the wrong customers take more financially than they give, and often that taking can be invisible. Secondly, you can also end up wasting the potential of your product or your service. Too often the wrong customers are not only a headache to deal with, and they are a headache, they're also not the best possible fit for your product or your service. And because they're not the ideal target for your product, you lose out on the massive word of mouth marketing you get when you take on the right customers who really connect with what you're offering. And overall, you're not able to grow as fast as you could. So that's why at a certain point, if you want to keep growing, you need to focus on acquiring high quality customers. And that's what strategy 5 is all about. Attract the right customers. Now, customer acquisition looks different in every business. It's going to be different in my business. It's going to be different in your business. For some of you, 50 new clients this year would be amazing. It would double your growth or triple your growth. For others, 1,500 would be disappointing. But no matter your industry, the client acquisition strategies you use must be engineered to address and recognize high quality customers, the right customers, at every stage of the funnel. Whether it's how you generate targeted leads on the front end, the language that you use to qualify your candidates, what steps they need to take in order to become paying customers, or even how you go about turning your customers into loyal promoters, which is the sweet spot where your clients do your marketing for you. Overall, it's important to really take your time in designing the strategies that you use to create your relationship with your customers. Because often, the depth of your relationships with your customers can be as important as quantity. And focusing on raising lifetime value can be what creates more financial impact and growth in your company. But you still can't neglect new customer acquisition. Now, acquisition can be challenging for a couple of reasons. You probably experienced these. First, marketing seems to change daily, doesn't it? The fact is, it's tough to stay current with the latest marketing strategies. It's almost like you have to get a new master's degree every year, especially since the onset of online marketing, because now the markets and what they respond to changes from quarter to quarter, right? Whether it's the psychological strategies, the copy frameworks, or the constant churn of content marketing, the techniques you need to use to stay relevant change rapidly. And this is also true of the technologies being used, like Facebook ads, Google ads, marketing automation technology, CRMs. All these constant changes make it very difficult to keep up. However, even though marketing constantly changes, there's always one thing that remains crucial, and I want you to pay special attention to this: your reputation. Your reputation will influence the way your customers react to the different forms of marketing you do. This could be either a positive or a negative. And it also influences the things people are saying about your company, that all-important, elusive word-of-mouth marketing about your business. And that's the second reason acquisition can be difficult, because half of your company's marketing doesn't come from you. It comes from your previous customers. Word of mouth will either grow your company or stifle it. And this takes us back to the importance of having the right customers. And it's another reason why you should be developing strategies right now that attract the right customers and push away the wrong ones. Do you know what the right customer even looks like? Because the right customers will actually grow your company for you. I've experienced this. I've done it myself, which is why at a certain stage, it's not just about the quantity of customers you're getting. It's all about the quality. Whether it's because they're helping you grow through their positive word of mouth, or simply because high quality customers mean high profits and low maintenance, the holy grail of customer acquisition. Either way, more isn't always better. In fact, the sure way to exhaustion is ignoring this concept and continuing to attract low profit, high maintenance customers. Think about it. You probably have some of these people, in your stable right now. But winning leaders know how to acquire new high-level customers. So invest the time into developing strategies and messages that attract those high-quality customers and watch them grow your company for you. Now, the strategies we've gone over so far are great for setting up a foundation for growth in your business. We all know that's not enough, though. You're also looking for solutions to reduce stress and help you make better decisions as a business owner or executive. You see, there's this invisible burden that weighs on every business leader, especially business owners. No one can really see it, but it can feel like carrying a 100-pound weight into a staff meeting. It drains your energy. It limits your capacity for core responsibilities and has a very real effect on the choices and decisions you make. See, if I were to ask you who carries the weight of the company's finances, most people would say the CFO. And it makes sense because they have the most contact with the numbers. They're responsible for the accounting and managing those numbers. But every smart business owner and executive thinks constantly about revenue and profit, no matter what part of the business they're in. And that's especially true as your team grows. As a leader, you're responsible to deliver your team's livelihoods, their salaries. And that's a weighty thing, right? You need to constantly be aware and continue to strike the right balance between hiring and staffing so you can pursue opportunities, but not overstaffing so your margins shrink. And this becomes a constant hum in your mind. How much revenue is coming in? What percentage of that is profit? How can we deliver an excellent product while trimming our costs? Which brings us to strategy number 6, maintain financial visibility. Now, some executives and business owners thrive on financial management. For others, it's more of a necessity and not really their core passion. However, the goal is the same for both: excellent financial leadership with minimal time investment. So, how do we accomplish this goal? Simple. It comes down to keeping your financials visible. You need reliable, streamlined reports delivered on a consistent schedule, and you've got to insist on that. This will help you to forecast cash flow, make better choices based on specific, tangible numbers and data. And it'll also help you spot problem areas and opportunities so that you can guide any adjustments you need to make and make sure that you don't get off course. Better financial visibility keeps you out of trouble and allows you to make the right investments in a timely manner, which is why, as a leader, you can't afford to abdicate from financial management. You really can't. You can't just leave that role exclusively to your CFO, because successful leaders maintain regular visibility on key financial metrics. All right, now at this point, you may be thinking, great, I understand all this stuff is important. In fact, I've already implemented a few of these strategies, but I'm still feeling that friction that you mentioned earlier. Well, anytime you're trying to scale, in other words, trying to grow your business, you're going to face new challenges at new stages of growth. And that's where most executives and business owners run into trouble. So you can reach the scaling phase simply by being sharp and talented and implementing the 6 strategies you've already covered. You can grow a fair amount doing that. But eventually, you're going to hit a threshold where you want to scale, but finding that the existing strategies fall short. The same hiring process, for example, that worked for 10 employees, where you most likely personally interviewed everyone, that doesn't work for 50 or 100 or 500 people. The same marketing strategies that took you to 7 figures probably aren't going to take you to 8 or 9 figures. And the same cultural tactics you were using when you could have a weekly, all-team meeting in your break room, those are lost in translation now that you've got limited contact with your team members or people in remote locations, which is why strategy number 7 is scale for growth. Intentionally scale for growth, and it's important. See, eventually you're going to reach a point where you're constantly playing at the edge of your own skill set. Maybe you feel that now. Your company's going to push you hard. You reach a point where you're still just as smart, just as results oriented, but you're having to focus on constantly adapting, rethinking your strategies and tactics, and it can become completely overwhelming, time consuming. If you're not careful, will suck up all your time and focus. And that's what we call the winner's paradox, like we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar. See, whenever you win and grow as a company, you slowly move to a bigger playing field. You've probably experienced this. And the skills that dominated on the last field, on this field, are average at best, and on any new field that you're going to move into in the future. What got you here? Not going to get you there. Now, most business owners and executives at first try and force growth whenever they hit a plateau, whether it's throwing more resources at a problem, spending more time working. They always try and do more. And when doing more doesn't work internally, it makes you feel less competent, right? Less capable. Now, this is actually a good problem to have because it's an indication that you're winning and about to win even more once you learn how to play on that next field. However, externally, it's going to take a shift in order to move past that plateau. Now, luckily, moving past the plateau isn't about doing more. No, it's just about doing things differently, which sometimes can be scary, but it's not impossible. Now, usually what happens is first, since you're going to have to refine the approaches you've been leaning on for years, most people spend their time doing this after hours because it doesn't really fit into the daily grind of operations in your business. But eventually, doing that will end up eating into your personal time, which is something we need to avoid entirely. Second, there's still the gap. Even though you may be doing better than most, your culture isn't quite where you want it to be. You're still carrying too much of the load yourself or wasting time trying to figure out how to get the desired results from your team members. There's a market opportunity you haven't had time to explore, or maybe operational systems that need to be streamlined, or maybe a financial management process that feels, clunky. That's why scaling for growth needs to be an iterative process. It's something you need to be always working on, always making time for. And in addition to the scalability challenge, there are two more challenges I want to address. But first, let's quickly recap everything we've covered so far. And that way, these last two challenges will make a little bit more sense. Also, any questions you have right now, you can enter them in the Q&A box because we'll be starting the Q&A session here in just a few minutes. So let's review. On this webinar, we've gone over so far 7 proven strategies to grow your business faster. These are all designed to give you clarity about what you should be doing to drive results so you aren't overrun by your opportunities or distracted by operational minutia or sidetracked by putting out fires. If you want to scale fast, you've got to stay focused. You've got to accelerate your business growth by maintaining clarity around these 7 proven strategies. So we went over strategy 1, which was to maximize focus, and why as a leader, you shouldn't be trying to do it all yourself and wear a dozen different hats, because divided focus leads to diminished results. Memorize that. Then we covered what you should be doing instead, which is providing your team with focus, and specifically 2 types of focus: directional focus and daily focus. We covered both. Then we went over strategy 2, which was to set our strategic vision, and why your strategic vision is the one thing you can't fail to communicate with your team. Otherwise, they're going to have nothing to work toward, nothing to align around. And I talked about Steve Jobs' example, where he wasn't just focused on making laptops and desktops, but he was focused on producing laptops and desktops that were different than what anyone else had been doing before. Then we went over how to set the strategic vision by stepping into the future, looking around and describing it, writing it out, and then communicating that vision in a compelling way to create buy-in or alignment from your team. After that, we went straight to strategy 3, hire A players, and why very few mistakes are as costly as bad hiring. I covered the fact that top teams are uncompromising about finding top talent. Plus, what we do at Michael Hyatt & Company to ensure we're hiring the right person. Our hiring process, as I mentioned, can take months because we conduct group and spouse interviews and even paid test assessments because we want to get it right. Then in strategy 4, we went over building team culture, so important, and how the right team culture will keep your A players performing at their best and, in fact, will drive the operating results of your business, and why you've got to start being intentional about building a healthy team culture now if you want to accelerate your results. Strategy 5 was how to acquire high-quality customers, and I talked about the importance of getting high-profit, low-maintenance customers, the customers that can really help you market your business via word of mouth. They're half the secret to effective marketing. After that, we went over strategy 6, maintain financial visibility. And I revealed the invisible burden wearing on all business owners and executives and the importance of keeping your company's financial performance visible. By the way, if you're a small business owner and your accountant provides quarterly results for you, quarterly reports, that's not enough. You need to be seeing these at least every month. And some reports, like in my company, we're looking at cash flow forecasted for the next 16 weeks, week by week, every single week. That's how important it is. And then finally, we covered strategy number 7, scale for growth. And we talked about the winner's paradox. That's the trouble most executives and owners encounter when it's time to scale. The same strategies that brought you to this level of success won't necessarily take you to the next level. Eventually, you reach a point where you're constantly having to iterate, adapting, and rethinking all your tactics to serve your new level of success. So you've got to build it into the system. Now, there are 2 more scaling challenges we'll address in just a moment. But first, I want you to be sure of something. At the beginning of the webinar, I promised that I'd give you clarity about where your focus should be. 7 proven strategies to accelerate your business growth. Did I keep my promise? I want to make sure you guys found this information helpful and valuable. Just go ahead and post in the Q&A part of the webinar. I'd love to hear from you. So, I want to talk about this fact that the game changes as you go to a next level. By the way, you can type 1 if you feel like I kept my promise, just to make it super simple. So at this point, we're faced with 2 challenges we try to scale. Challenge 1, these 7 strategies are simultaneous. Maybe you picked that up. They're not sequential. Business growth is a constant, ongoing process. So you don't have the luxury of stopping financial visibility or customer acquisition in order to do something like refine your hiring process or repair a culture issue. In order to maintain growth, you need to be able to keep all 7 of the strategies we went over today humming simultaneously. And it's a balancing act, right? That requires constant adjustments and iterations. Another problem, though, is that most of the key growth activities you'll need to focus on are outside the scope of your usual operations, meaning you'll have to step outside of your business to apply them. But here's the problem. Most people are so busy working in their business to focus on one strategy, let alone all 7. Growing a company is a challenge. It's understandably overwhelming. It's not really a surprise we're seeing exhausted executives like Marissa Mayer or Arianna Huffington or Elon Musk. Not to mention, there's something we haven't touched on much yet that's important: your personal life. We all have crucial personal commitments we can't afford to miss, whether it's your health, your family, or other important relationships. What is it for you? Maybe it's your daughter's dance recital, your 20-year anniversary with your spouse, or caring for and spending time with an aging parent. Scaling your business shouldn't cost you your personal life. Now, at this point, you most likely are excited and have a greater high-level understanding of how to grow your company without compromising your personal life. But maybe you're not 100% sure what to do in your specific situation or company. And we're afraid to make expensive or time-wasting mistakes, and we want to get it right the first time. I know I do, which is why you're in luck. Because today I want to tell you about an opportunity. What if I gave you a proven solution to help you work on these 7 strategies for growth simultaneously and frequently? If I offered to give you a clear plan of action for exactly what to focus on and when, a plan to help you scale your business faster than you ever thought possible, would this opportunity get you excited? You want to hear about this opportunity? Well, good. Before I tell you about it, though, let me remind you of 2 things we got coming up. First, at the end of this webinar, you're going to have the opportunity to take my proprietary business health assessment. You guys are going to find this so amazing and so enlightening. It'll analyze your business strengths, identify what's stopping you from scaling fast, and actually give you a business health score so you can focus on the opportunities that are most important and are the ones that should take priority. Second, we're going to be doing a special Q&A. I'm going to bring Megan back on and one of the executives from my company, Chad Cannon, who's our Chief Marketing Officer. So save your questions until the end. So now, after working with thousands of business owners and executives just like you, my team and I designed an experience to help you navigate the challenges of scaling your business without sacrificing your personal life. It's called Business Accelerator. And I've been part of many coaching programs, and I have to tell you, Business Accelerator is an experience unlike any other. Most coaching programs out there train professionals in their framework, and then they stick them on phones as if they're telephone marketing reps, and that's what they call coaching. And when you get a call with one of these people every week or so, but these people haven't really ever operated a business before. They've never had divisional or department responsibilities, and yet they're coaching people like us. What? Well, this is what sets our program apart. I'm the one who actually coaches our business owners and executives. And I have experience of running a big corporation to a smaller startup and now our fast-growing company. And what I share with you inside Business Accelerator is not armchair theory, not something I learned out of a manual. It's real-world experience. So maybe you're wondering, what is it? Well, Business Accelerator is for business owners and executives who want to drive results in their business. It's that simple, but in a sustainable way. As successful business owners, we face constant challenges in growing our business, and we need outside resources to help us go further, faster. And that's the beauty of coaching. It gives you a perspective you can't see on your own, so you can achieve the results you want faster. Because I believe in coaching, I still have an executive coach. I've had one since the year 2000, and I attribute much of my company's success to the help of my coach. So as I said before, Business Accelerator is a coaching experience. But it's not just us or me answering your questions. We designed a full curriculum that follows our process for growth. Inside Business Accelerator, we guide you through this curriculum, so let me just share a little bit of it with you. Over the course of a year, we go through the 4 recurring stages of business growth. Now, this is the exact process I teach to business owners year after year, and it's always led to massive breakthroughs in their company. I'm going to get to some of those results in a minute. Not to mention, mastering this process is how our company was able to grow so fast. But what's unique about these 4 stages is that they're cyclical. You don't complete one step and never return to it again. These stages are recurring, and as you reach a new level of business growth, you repeat the process over again to reach the next level. You need to master this process and master it in this order. First, you have to start with a plan. As a leader, you've got to provide a clear and compelling vision, a roadmap. You've got to enroll your team in that vision and then create alignment around it. Now, this is easier said than done, as you've probably experienced, but it's essential for success. Second, you have to add focus, like we talked about in the webinar. As your team grows, this is difficult to maintain. Your team faces innumerable distractions and temptations to drift from your organization's mission, right? Sideways energy. And you got to eliminate sideways energy and fake work so that your team can focus on your most important priorities. Third, you have to execute. This is where the rubber meets the road, and so many organizations fall short. It's one thing to set aggressive goals. It's another thing to actually achieve them, right? 2 different things. And this takes a team. And let me tell you something. If your dream doesn't require a team, your dream is too small. But that team's got to be able to execute. And finally, there's scale. This is where you ramp up your process and operations so you can reach more people, drive more results, and build a business, get this, that runs without you. Very few organizations do this well. Addition is easy. Multiplication is hard. It requires you to constantly reinvent yourself and your company. Like one of my former Sunday school teachers used to say, what got you out of Egypt won't get you into the promised land. This 4-step process is what we guide you through in the course of 1 year. Every quarter, we host a coaching intensive, that's what we call it, a coaching intensive in which we dive deep into one of these steps. But as we go through these individual steps at each session, we also talk about them through the lens of the 4 domains of leadership mastery. First, we talk about self-leadership. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. Why? Because if you aren't walking your talk, you're going to diminish your influence. You simply won't have credibility with your team or with your customers. Second, there's team management. You've got to be able to lead your team and lead them well and get them aligned around your vision. Then business operations. These are the little things that make your business run either efficiently or not efficiently. And then finally, your market reach. You want to get more customers, particularly the right kind of customers, and all these build on each other. Now, imagine for yourself what this process could do for you. Imagine having a clear vision that you can share with your team, your customers, and your most important stakeholders. Imagine being able to hire the right people at the right time. Imagine being able to delegate more so you can spend more time on the projects that make you come alive. Imagine having the tools you need to level up your daily financial operations. And imagine having the confidence that comes from growing year after year while also preserving your healthy home life. You could actually find that you work fewer hours and enjoy more free time than ever before, all while having your business scale and grow faster than ever. Now, Business Accelerator is the proven system you need to experience results like these. It gives you the strategies and the dedicated time to work on your business. Now, let me tell you how it works. Once you'll join, you'll have access to 4 in-person, face-to-face coaching intensives. These take place once a quarter, and they're designed to gather you with a small tribe of like-minded business owners and executives to learn the strategies in as little time as possible. Each of these sessions are a single but full day because you want to learn the strategies and go back to implement them as quickly as possible. And at these sessions, you'll assemble with a peer group, one that you couldn't form on your own, I promise you. These peers might be in your same stage of growth, or they might be a little bit ahead of you, but we curate your group so that you can learn from each other. Then you'll also get access to our Slack group. If you're not familiar with Slack, it's like an internal communications program that'll give you customized solutions and feedback throughout the year. And in this group, you can communicate with both your team or our team and the peers in your cohort in between the coaching intensives. And with this accountability all year long, you'll ensure you're practically applying strategies and iterating for the growth of your business. And you'll also have access, whoops, I flipped too fast there. Where did I go? I went way too far ahead. Let me get back to it, guys. I think I hit the end button. Keeping it real here. All right, there we go. I made a lot of mistakes in webinars, but never that one. Never hitting the end key. Anyway, you'll also have access to our weekly and monthly check-in sessions so you can review what you learned and get the accountability that you need to stay on track. But I want to tell you a little bit more about the coaching intensives. This is where the bulk of our transformation happens. And like I said before, it takes place in one day each quarter. We'll spend the part of that day with me teaching you new strategies and frameworks. And then the rest of the day is spent with you applying those strategies on your business. We've also got something we call spotlight sessions, where we help you troubleshoot the most pressing questions and challenges in your business. Someplace where you can finally go and air the challenges that you're facing with a sympathetic group that is there for you to win, and my coaching along with Megan's. This is your dedicated time to work in your business. And by the end of these intensives, you'll have the clarity around what you need to do for the next 90 days. Now, I want to let you know, Business Accelerator is proven to drive results. This program has been going on for 2 years now, and I want to show you what our average clients experience with their first year, within their first year being part of Business Accelerator. Based on our survey results, here's what our average client is able to accomplish. Pay attention. They grow their revenue by 67% in their first year. 67%. They reclaim 11 hours per week to focus on their most important priorities. They improve their work-life balance by 35%. And they increase their confidence by 64%. And finally, they take more vacation. In fact, 66% of our clients took at least one extra week of vacation last year compared to the year before. Now, imagine having these results in your business, experiencing large revenue growth, having more time to do what excites you, and having more unplugged vacation time. With results like these, it's no wonder that more than 80% of our clients renew their membership in this program year after year. And the amazing part of this is, these are only our average client results. Now, I'm guessing not many of you consider yourself average, right? So type a 1 in the Q&A area if you consider yourself above average, right? Most of us do, but type a 1 in the Q&A area. I just want to see this for myself if you consider yourself above average. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of 1s in the Q&A box. Great. If you consider yourself above average, you can experience results like some of our top clients. So let me share with you what they were able to accomplish. Here's Mariel Diaz. Before she started working with us, she was wearing too many hats in her accounting business. She was overworked, constantly stressed, unable to unplug. But in just a few months inside Business Accelerator, everything changed. She's experienced a 40% growth in revenue, 50% growth in her client base, and finally built a work-life balance she could be proud of. In fact, she cut her weekly work hours by 30 hours. 30 hours. She even took 3 more weeks of unplugged vacation time this past year. And all of this happened in her first year of Business Accelerator. Here's Caleb Roney. Before Business Accelerator, Caleb's time was being eaten up by tasks that demotivated him and took him away from high leverage projects. Once he joined Business Accelerator, we helped him define where his focus should be so that he could scale his business. He was able to eliminate, automate, and delegate a number of his tasks. And after this freed him up, he found a new revenue stream that within the first 90 days exceeded 6 figures. First 90 days. Now he's enjoying more unplugged vacation time with his family while his business is growing. Can you believe that? And then there's Bill Prettyman. He owns a printing and manufacturing business. Now, Bill only experienced a 20% growth in revenue, so way below our average. But 20% for him was $7 million in the first year. This was directly attributable, he said, to the program. How many of you would love growth like that? Now, when I asked Bill for this information, he told me something interesting. He said the Business Accelerator is not just teaching theories or ideas to business owners and executives. The only reason he was able to see this massive success in his business is because we empowered him with tools to help him execute. It was those tools that helped him stay focused on revenue drivers for his business. Now, not many coaching programs have tools that allow you to do this. Finally, Roy Barberi. What's impressive about Roy is that he not only has multiple successful businesses, he has, get this, 12 kids. Excuse me. Before Business Accelerator, he was working, I'm going to have to take a drink. before Business Accelerator, that's better, he was working 70 hours a week minimum. And he was going to bed each night feeling defeated. But now he's living a completely different story. He was able to double his revenue from 21 million to about 51 million. And he was able to do this while drastically reducing his work hours. Now he describes being able to take random lunch dates in the middle of the day with his children. Before that, he couldn't even dream about doing that. Now imagine what it would be like for you to be part of a winning group like this. It was Jim Rohn who said, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." And so many business owners I know feel isolated, like they don't have a peer group of people that are cheering them on or can even understand what they're struggling with. Imagine how much you would grow if you had 5 people like this cheering you on. Transformation would be inevitable. So let's talk about how you can join this group. When I was the CEO of Thomas Nelson, I invested, it's hard to believe, but $100,000 a year on an executive coach. Now that may sound crazy, but it was worth every penny. The return on my investment was 20 to 30 times my investment every year. That's why I kept doing it. Several years ago at Michael Hyatt & Company, I launched a small coaching program with just 12 clients. They paid $25,000 a year to be part of this elite group, and it sold out every year for 3 years. Now you're probably thinking your investment for Business Accelerator is in this range, but it's not. But even if it was, wouldn't it be worth it to you to experience a 50% growth in revenue like Mariel and Roy? Or build a new revenue stream like Caleb did? Or even reduce your work hours like Mariel and Roy did? Before I shared with you the average results your clients experience, I want to make these numbers real for you. So go ahead and take out your calendar, or your calculator. Go ahead, get it out, pop it up on your screen, pull it out if you have one of the old school ones, but take out your calculator. And I want you to put in the revenue that you think you're going to make for 2018. Okay? What is your revenue going to be for this current year by the time you end your fiscal year? Okay, got that? Now remember, I said our average clients experience a 67% growth in revenue. So take your number and multiply that number by 1.67. That's how much you can expect to make next year from Business Accelerator. Now, obviously, I can't guarantee those results. Most of it's going to depend on your willingness to do the work. But since you're here, I'm guessing you're not an average person, so you're going to do the work. But here's the thing about this number. It's not just the 67% in growth. I mean, if I grew my income by 67% this year and lost my family, I wouldn't consider myself a success. It's more than that. That's why all these other stats are important. How many of you would like to work less, improve your work-life balance, increase your confidence, or increase your vacation time? I'm guessing most of you would. The investment range I mentioned before would be worth it if it helped you scale your business in a sustainable, healthy way, right? Well, I got good news for you. The investment to join Business Accelerator is normally $12,500 a year. But if you schedule a discovery call with our program director right from this webinar, you'll be eligible to join for just $10,000. And on the discovery call, our program director will give you all the details about Business Accelerator and help you determine whether it's the right fit or the right next step for you. And that's important because we only want people that are a fit. That's why we call this a discovery call rather than a sales call. Also, if you schedule a discovery call before the webinar ends and you end up joining the program as a result of your call, then it will give you 4 extra bonuses. First, we'll give you an annual subscription to our professional development subscription program called LeaderBox. With LeaderBox, you'll get 2 new professional development books mailed to you each month with executive summaries and more. And we'll also give you a free annual subscription to the Full Focus Planner, our best-selling physical planner to help you achieve your biggest goals all year long. Third, we'll give you access to Free to Focus, my master productivity course designed to help you build a complete productivity system to achieve your biggest priorities while working less. And finally, we'll give you access to the 5 Days to Your Best Year Ever course, my goal-setting course that has helped thousands and thousands of people around the world plan their annual goals and build a system to achieve them all year long. So you get all these bonuses if you schedule your discovery call before the end of this webinar and you end up joining the program. So to schedule your discovery call, simply go to businessaccelerator.com/discovery. That's simple, businessaccelerator.com/discovery. Now, earlier in the webinar, I mentioned our proprietary business health assessment to analyze where you are in your business and assess where you need to grow. If you want to scale, this information is critical to know. So after you schedule your discovery call, you'll be prompted to take this business health assessment. Then on your call, we'll discuss your assessment results and help you identify 3 goals for you to focus on to fix those areas in your business, and how Business Accelerator can help you achieve those 3 goals faster than you would on your own. So to take the assessment, schedule your discovery call now at businessaccelerator.com/discovery. Okay, before I bring back Megan and bring on Chad, who's our Business Accelerator Program Director, to do the Q&A session with me, I want you to imagine with me one last time. Imagine not feeling stuck. Imagine not feeling defeated at the end of next year. Imagine not feeling disappointed because you couldn't grow your business or give your best to your family. And I want to tell you something. I don't believe you should be the same person you are now at the end of next year. You can't be. Not if you want your business to grow. The Michael Hyatt you're hearing from right now is not the same Michael Hyatt at the end of 2019. It better not be. Otherwise, my company's going to stagnate and it's not going to grow. You've got to rise up to meet the challenges of scaling your business. You need to constantly iterate and learn new skills. You need to become better if you ever want your business to effectively scale. And Business Accelerator will help you do this. If you want this transformation for your business and for your life, then schedule your discovery call at businessaccelerator.com/discovery. And with that, I'm going to turn back on my video and bring back Megan and add Chad to the call. And I'm going to take a big drink because I was choking earlier.
Somebody said they would choke up too if they had 12 kids.
I know every time I talk about his story, that makes me choke up.
I know. It's amazing.
It was perfect timing.
It was. What a great webinar. Man, we've gotten some fantastic feedback from those of you who are on with us today. Daphne says, it exceeded my expectations with clear steps to level up. And Malia said, this is incredibly helpful with concrete information. And Angie said, very valuable. You kept your promises to give clarity and more. And Robert said, man, this explains why I've been struggling so much in the last year to grow my business. I feel like I finally have the clarity I need to make some serious progress. So pretty cool.
Love those comments.
I actually could have pulled many more, but that's just a little sample. So, gosh, I cannot wait to dive into these questions. We've been getting so many questions. I wish we just had, hours to answer them, but I've pulled some really good ones. So I'd love to throw them out there to you guys. You ready?
Okay. Yeah. You got to answer them too, though. Yours
okay,
I know. Part of this panel.
All right, I'm ready. All right, so David asks, he says, I have an educational company that my wife and I started 11 years ago. We're profitable and enjoy a revenue stream north of $600K annually with 12 employees. However, in order to offer more opportunity to my employees and a better experience for my customers, I need to accelerate growth and increase profits that would fund our ability to create better employee benefits. I've identified 2 to 3 growth opportunities, all of which take capital beyond our cash flow to fund. Should I seek a financial partner or investment? Currently, we own 100% of our company and have no business debt. I'm unsure how to decide where to focus while balancing my responsibility as COO and CFO.
Yeah, that's a tough one. A lot of that's gonna come down to values, because some people would say, get a line of credit and borrow the money. If you're a Dave Ramsey aficionado, you probably would not agree with that. The challenge with taking on investors is you're gonna give up some control to those investors. So you got to be careful about how you structure it. And by the way, I've worked in virtually every kind of financial situation you can work in with like that. And personally, the thing I love about our company is we have no investors.
Right.
And so for me, what I would encourage you to do, and what's his name again?
David.
Okay, David, what I would encourage you to do is put on your thinking cap and think out how you can do it without requiring all that capital on the front end. Mm-hmm. So for example, I'm going to just give you a concrete example. When we launched the Full Focus Planner last year, we had to print those books, and that was tens and tens of thousands of dollars to have to do that. I didn't want that money, up front. I didn't want to borrow the money. I didn't want investors. So what we did was we actually took orders for the planner before we printed it. Mm-hmm. And we told people exactly what we were doing. We took the money up front, so we had the cash in the bank long before the printer bills came due. So I would just encourage you to be creative about thinking how you can fund it without either going in debt or acquiring business partners.
Those are the kind of things that we would talk about in a Business Accelerator coaching intensive, because we would get those kind of questions, regularly there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another question. Marcel asked, what's your advice for someone who's working alone and wants to build a team? Who should I hire and for what kind of work?
Megan, I think you should take that.
We get this question probably more than any other from our clients, and I love answering it because it can totally change the game if you have the right answer. The thing that we recommend most often for business owners and executives, that if you don't already have an executive assistant, that would be your first hire. So,
Yep.
Dad, that's what you did when you left the corporate world and started Michael Hyatt and Company. That was your first hire, was an executive assistant, and that was a real game changer for you. And we've seen it over and over again with our clients. But that is something you can start in as little as 5 or 10 hours a week with companies like Belay Solutions, Belay. Belay Solutions that we recommend often to our clients. You can have an executive assistant who will do things like take email off your plate, who will do all your correspondence, who will schedule your appointments and your travel. Just eliminating those kind of things from your calendar will free you up to do the higher level, higher leverage work in your business that really drives results. And that's one of the secrets to going further faster.
Good answer.
All right.
Great.
You have anything you want to add?
No, I just think,
Okay.
it's important to know how to do that. And this is one of the
Yes.
things we talk about in fact, we spend a whole day on this.
We do.
Just
On executive assistants, not hiring. We spend a lot of time on hiring, even beyond
right.
that.
That's
Yeah.
right. So it's, you got to identify the right people, come with a job description, and what's the process look like, and how do you make
Right.
sure you don't hire the wrong person?
Exactly. Hugely important.
I think
Okay,
it's
we
time
have.
for Chad to have a question.
Okay, Chad, you ready?
That's good.
He's looking pretty, but he needs to answer questions.
This is a good one for you because you're a great coach. Okay, so Trey asks, he says, how can you engage or implement a winning culture in your business that keeps A players engaged?
Wow, that's a great question. A players, I think Michael talked about this earlier. If your culture isn't where you want it to be and where your A players want it to be, A players aren't going to stay around long enough for you to actually reap the benefits of having an A player in your team. So I think it's important for you to identify what motivates your A players, and what motivates one A player is going to motivate a different A player potentially. And so I think most of us probably know in business, you can't treat everyone the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, we like to throw out, there's no such thing as fair in business. And so, one of the things is, that's not fair. Well, the reality is it's not, because one A player actually may require something else than a different A player. That doesn't mean that there's favorites. It just means that we do things differently to motivate those people. And so it starts by just understanding, and that's not just all A players, that's B players too. You have to understand individual talents and gifts and what really makes people tick on your team, and then figure out a way to do that as a leader. I mean, that's a big part of leadership for sure.
I love that. Another thing that we are really focused on is giving visibility into our financial performance. That is a huge motivator for A players because they want to draw the connection between their actions and the results. And so if that's not a clear line of sight, then that can be super demotivating, which actually leads me to our next question from another David who said, "Hi, Michael. Thanks for this webinar. Super helpful. My question is, what are a few key metrics to look at to keep high financial visibility as a business owner?"
Yeah, well, I think of them as they're sort of forward-looking and backward-looking. And unfortunately, most people that come from an accounting background, unfortunately not all of them, will tend to be really good at the backward-looking, like how do we perform last month, or how do we perform last quarter or last year. But that's like driving through life, trying to navigate using the rearview mirror. It's helpful somewhat to see where you've been, but it's a heck of a lot more important to see where you're going. So that's why the windshield's a lot bigger than the rearview mirror. So the question is, what's the equivalent of a windshield? And one of the most important things you can do, of course, daily sales reports, that's a helpful thing. But I think the most important single thing you can have is a cash flow management tool. Mm-hmm. It's a forecasting tool. So I set this up at the very beginning. Actually, we had used it at Thomas Nelson as we were going through the recession when managing cash was critically important. But it's a habit I learned and brought that into Michael Hyatt and Company. So I had an outside accountant, and we set up a week by week, 12 week at the time. Now we'd use 16 weeks, but we look out for 16 weeks, what cash flow is going to be for the next 16 weeks. So we try to identify every piece of revenue that we think is going to come in week by week over the next 16 weeks, and every expense that's going to go out week by week over the next 16 weeks. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we see trouble before it happens. So we can see the potholes before we hit them. So we know, for example, if 7 weeks from now we're showing a deficit. We're not going to have enough cash to cover payroll. We got 7 weeks to scramble and fix that so that we don't just hit the pothole and all of a sudden we can't make payroll and it creates a crisis. So we never have that problem at Michael Hyatt and Company because we're always looking through the windshield and we're doing it on a weekly basis.
I love that. That's actually one of my most important meetings each week with our CFO. I spend about 45 minutes reviewing that with him, and it just gives us so much visibility. So it's a great tool. Okay, another great question from Brittany. She says, my husband and I own a veterinary hospital. I've taken on the role of hospital manager, and I find myself working in the hospital rather than working on the hospital. What do you recommend to help get my employees to understand that I do other important tasks, fake work versus real work, without them feeling like I'm abandoning them or trying to get out of the work that they think is really important?
Well, I'm going to take that one again. I would say, first of all, you've got to be clear about what it is you do.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to show your work, so to speak. In other words, to tell them what it is you're doing and why it's in their best interest that you do that work. Okay, that's extremely important. You got to share why it's in their best interest, not your best interest, not even the best interest of the hospital, but why it's in their best interest that you do this, because you're trying to provide a future for them, right? You're trying to streamline things and make it easier for them. You want to be more successful so you can pay them more money and provide better benefits and all that stuff. So there's some things that come off the top of my mind. Then what I would do is I would schedule time once a week. So I have it on my calendar where I schedule visioneering time, but time to work on your business, not in your business. So schedule that time and hold that commitment like you would any other commitment. Respect it. When somebody asks you for that time, when an employee says, hey, I wonder if we can have a meeting on Friday afternoon, it's really important. You say, so sorry, I've got another commitment at that time. You don't have to tell them what it is. That's your time to work on the business.
That's awesome. You might also want to get out of the business, out of the clinic to do that.
Yes.
Out of sight, out of mind is definitely helpful.
Changing spaces, for me, I know personally for me, getting away from the normal every day because it's going to get you stuck back into email or the familiar. So I'd encourage you to kind of find a space that's unique to you to really do that.
That's
Megan and I are actually doing that tomorrow, where we do this once a quarter where we get away for a day. And in this particular case, we're going out of state. In fact, out of country. We're going to Canada. So we're going to just take a full day there to do nothing but work on the business. It'll actually be a 2-day trip, but all we want to do is just work on the business.
It's so valuable. Okay, so we've been getting some questions about the Business Accelerator program. And the first one, Chad, this is going to be for you. Can you tell me about what's going to happen on the discovery call and why should I do that?
That's a great question. So what we're going to talk about on the discovery call is really to help you find out exactly if you're a right fit for our program and if we're a right fit for you. And one of the things that I'd encourage you to do is take the assessment that you'll also get after taking or signing up for the discovery call, because we'll walk through the score that you have in the assessment and actually highlight a few of those areas that you really want to focus on in 2019. And we'll walk you through that and actually share with you how Business Accelerator can really help you achieve those goals for 2019 and some of the unique ways that we do that to keep that in the forefront of your mind. And also as we develop the curriculum and build out in our cohort and the weekly and the monthly calls, we'll talk about that. So I think it's having that assessment will be really, really helpful for us to really dig in and discover what you want to focus on in 2019.
That's awesome. And just as a reminder, you get the assessment when you sign up for the discovery call at businessaccelerator.com/discovery. By the way, Chad, we've had a bunch of people already sign up for that. Just a few highlights. Shout out to Chad Clinton, Amy Wine, Brian Grunden, Jessica Brophy, Brian Ubrig, Brittany Alfino, Josh Simmons. I could just go on and on. Anyway, apparently you're going to have a very busy phone coming up because a lot of people are excited to do their discovery call with you. Pumped about that. So here's a question that I love that we get often. What percentage of attendees are women? I'll take that myself.
Yeah. Megan, speaking for women, why don't you
speaking
answer?
For all the women on the call. So we have about 50% women. I love this because it is such a unique environment for a business coaching program. So often, they're mostly men and, nothing wrong with men, but as women, it's fun when you see some familiar faces in the room. And we have some amazing, powerful women who are getting after it in their businesses. has. And if you have felt like as a woman in business that you don't have that peer group, that you'd love to have people who really understand what it's like to be a female entrepreneur, or business owner, or executive, this is the place for you. We have amazing women and men in our group, but it's really kind of a special thing. So I love to talk about that.
Also, Megan, just a lot of diversity.
Yeah, I know. It's so cool. We have
Yeah.
people from all over the world, lots of different ages. It's just really neat. So, okay. So, Dad, this one's for you. What makes Business Accelerator different, since there are a lot of coaching programs out there?
Yeah, well, I kind of maybe not so subtly hinted as I was talking about Business Accelerator. So many programs out there. I'm not going to mention names, but they produce a manual, and then they hire people almost like telemarketers. They run them through a training program, and those people are on the phone coaching clients. Having never had any real operational experience, never started a business, never run a business, never faced the challenges of making payroll and keeping the business going and all that. So I think that's one of the first things. I think another thing that makes it unique, there's a lot of coaching programs out there that are one-on-one. And I've certainly been in those kind of executive coaching programs in the past. In fact, the one that I had at Thomas Nelson, where I was paying $100,000 a year, that was definitely a one-on-one program. But one of the things I discovered is that I found that those aren't as beneficial as being in a group coaching program. So each of our groups is only 50 people. But here's a key thing: it really relies on the networking effect of getting with the right people, because it's not just that you need coaching, but you need a peer group that'll support you and people you can learn from. And I hate to say this, but people learn as much from their peers as they learn from me. You're going to find people that are in other industries that have faced similar problems, but maybe because they're not in your industry, they've solved it in a way you've never thought about. And you're going to get the support and the encouragement. And in fact, I was talking to one of our clients yesterday who just said, man, we've got a little subgroup that's inside of our cohort, and we meet together every week just to check up on each other. And he said the progress has been amazing. So those two things I would say. First of all, you're going to be led by me personally. Megan's part of the program. Chad's off in there, but we're going to be leading you through the program. So it's me, not somebody that just got trained last weekend and is on the phone with you. Second thing, there's a peer group like none other that you can't probably build for yourself.
That's awesome. Hey, Chad, a question for you. I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say I'd add to that. As I talk to a lot of our clients, and Michael, you mentioned this. This is something that Bill Prettyman has said. A lot of other clients as well, is that a lot of other coaching programs they've been part of before have been really flying at 30,000 foot, kind of theories, kind of principles about a business. But what we do is we offer tools and resources to really help them go and execute back in the business over the next 90 days. So we also create white space for you while you're here in that one day to actually walk away with some actual tangible results as well through the tool that we taught. But then over the next 90 days, you're going to utilize that on a daily or potentially weekly basis to really see impact and drive results, which a lot of coaching programs don't have that, let alone the tool and resource that's been used for decades, like Michael, in larger corporate business, but also small business. So I think that's a big thing that clients always give me feedback, is that I can't get this anywhere else, and I've tried.
That's great.
Awesome.
Okay, so Sheila just asked, and maybe if you're listening but you're not actually watching the video of this, you may not see the slide that's up. She says, how do I schedule a call? So if you're not seeing the slide right now, it's businessaccelerator.com/discovery. So just go to businessaccelerator.com/discovery to schedule your discovery call, which is going to get you access to the 4 possible bonuses, as well as the business health assessment that we talked about earlier. Okay, Chad, another question for you. If I want to bring my business partner or spouse, is there a discount?
Great question. And yes, so if you want to bring someone along with you, which we probably about 20% of our current clients do that very thing, because it's hugely beneficial to make sure everyone's on the same page, common nomenclature. You don't have to waste time when you go back to the business, to catching up someone that's sharing the same vision as you. And the way that works is if you sign up a business partner or a spouse, the second person is 50% off. So the cost today for being part of the webinar would be $10,000, and for the second person to be $15,000. So a total of $15,000 for those 2 people. So
awesome. That's great. All right. So, somebody asked, we said something about spotlight sessions or personalized coaching. So what does that look like, Dad?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to do. So Megan and I are the coaches of this. And so what we do is we solicit volunteers. And so they have to apply before the session. and they submit basically what they think their problem is and where they're looking for help.
Mm-hmm.
Then we evaluate those, and we pick about 4 for every 1-day coaching session. And then we have those up one at a time. They get 15 to 20 minutes apiece, and we just drill down on the problem and give them concrete, specific help. Those things are transformative. And by the way, not just for the person who's in the hot seat or in the spotlight session getting the help, but they're also helpful to everybody watching. I get as much when I've been in programs like this, as much from the person who's in the seat as I do when I'm actually in the seat. You're going to get all kinds of insights, and we give you a tool to help you make sure that you get specific takeaways, whether you're a participant or somebody that's just watching.
That's great. All right, Chad, tell us about what the support is between coaching intensives. So you come for 1 day a quarter, but then what happens between those events?
Yes. So there's a few different ways you can interact with your cohort and people on our team in between the quarterly coaching intensive. So the first is obviously what we talked about, the Slack channel that you have. The whole cohort is there along with our team members. Michael's in there. He's not in there daily, but probably a couple times a month. He jumps in there, providing feedback as well to people. So that plus weekly huddles. So 30 minutes a week we get together as a cohort. And kind of we've adopted this as our own team internally as a company. We have a weekly huddle where we're really just kind of keeping the goals of the company in the forefront of our team's mind, making sure that we're talking about our weekly big 3, and we're really focused on what's going to drive results this week. And so it's a really great opportunity for people to really see even other businesses and what they're doing, kind of motivate them and keep them accountable. And then monthly, once a month, we get together for a 90-minute, more something like this, where it's video-based webinar, teaching about 40 to 45 minutes. Someone from our team will go deeper on the tool and resource that was just taught in the coaching intensive. And then a Q&A like this for about 40 or 45 minutes that we can really drill into unique challenges or questions people have with potentially that tool or a specific challenge or issue they have in their business. So the Slack group, the weekly huddles, and the monthly huddles are 3 ways to really stay in touch through the quarterly coaching intensives.
That's awesome. Someone asked how to get the assessment. So if you're unclear on that, the assessment comes when you sign up for a discovery call. So just go to businessaccelerator.com/discovery, and that will enable you to sign up for a discovery call and also take the business health assessment, which, by the way, is super awesome. I mean, you guys are going to get so much insight. I don't feel like we didn't talk about that enough, but it is so amazing.
I know. I just got to say a word. I know we're out of time, but I got to say a word about the business health assessment, because Dave on our team, who does all of our web design and everything, put this whole thing online. It's an amazing interface. And when you get to the end of it, it gives you actually a business health score, which is a number. And then it gives this amazing radial pie chart, which shows you visually the parts of your business that need the most attention for you to grow the fastest. It's the coolest thing ever. And all you have to do is sign up for the discovery call to get access to that. That all by itself, and the time you'll have with Chad on the phone, will give you so much clarity about where you need to leverage your attention and your resources to get the results you've been after.
It's really a mini coaching session.
Yeah. And one thing, this is actually something we only give our clients typically once they've actually signed up. So this is a treat for you, even just for signing up for Discovery Call, getting it. And actually, I just did a quick analysis of some of the results. This is interesting. So we've got scores in the 40 to like 80 range. So I've got this like
what's the max
dashboard. The max is 120.
Okay, so if you're doing awesome, if you're killing it, you're at 120.
Yeah.
So you're saying people have some room to grow.
Yes. So the average I'd say right now is probably in the 60 to 70 range.
Wow.
Is what we're seeing. So
awesome.
Way to be truthful, guys.
Yeah, and imagine like how much room there is for improvement. That's so exciting.
Totally.
Wow. Okay. One thing we didn't say is the dates for this cohort for Business Accelerator are January the 16th, 2019, March 28th, 2019, June 13th, 2019, and September 26th, 2019. So January 16th, March 28th, June 13th, and September 26th. And of course, Chad will go over all that with with you in the discovery call, but just in case you're wondering. Gosh, we could just keep going and going with these questions because we have so many, but I want to respect people's time. So I think we're going to wrap up with those questions now. Just as a reminder, you must sign up for your discovery call by the end of this webinar, which will be in a couple minutes, to be eligible for the 4 fast action bonuses when you ultimately sign up for the Business Accelerator program. Those are the subscription to LeaderBox, the subscription to the Full Focus Planner, VIP access,